word campaign is primarily from a military jargon and therefore involves strategy or strategic approach, and strategy deals with focus. Any strategy deals with focus. So as we go along in understanding how messages are designed, we will take a look at what factors influence the designing of a message. The factors which advertising or communication must take into consideration and must be based, any designing of any message must be based on these factors, and there are some of them I have listed down here. What is the problem which the communication or advertising must address? The problem identification area is an important aspect, exactly bringing about a focus into what we want to solve or what advertising is expected to tackle. Second aspect is what do we want people to do as a result of the advertising or the communication. Any task of any advertising is to create awareness. That's a very broad term that we use, but within that aware condition, what do we expect the advertising to do has to be arrived at very clearly, and message must be linked with that particular action points of the consumer. And of course, very importantly, who are we talking to? And there are many ways that we can look at the consumers. Consumers can be looked at as on demographic basis, on psychographic basis. Consumers can be looked at as decision makers, users, influencers. Consumers can be looked at as current users, lapsed users, new users. Consumers can be looked at in their attitudes and behavioral manner. So consumers can be looked at and defined in many ways. But we must focus on we must analyze the consumer in all these hues and understanding, and focus on to a specific thing on which the message needs to be developed. Next point is on which communication should be, designing of message should be influenced by, is what is the key response that we want from communication. Response identification is absolutely critical on which the messages are needed to be designed. What information might help produce this response? Advertising per se is inadequate in its credibility. Advertising per se does not make the whole sale. Advertising does not necessarily create that 100% confidence in people. There are other factors that comes about or that exist that needs to be supporting the advertising or the message. So therefore, if advertising can be supported, the claim in advertising, the promise or the benefit of advertising can be supported with a lot of other proof, a lot of other factors that will be of helpful. And therefore, we must know what information might help produce this response. What should be the media options for which the audience and for which audience? There are different audiences which attracts or relates to or interested in different media in different ways, and that needs to be understood very, very clearly. The complete understanding of designing of a message, like advertising campaign is positioning to response, within that designing of the message deals with creating a stimulus in eliciting that desired response. This understanding is very important because this is different from dissemination of information. Most of social advertising probably haven't really worked because they deal with do's and don'ts or information dissemination. Information dissemination is not advertising. Advertising calls for persuasiveness, and persuasiveness deals with stimulus. We don't necessarily send out a message. We send out a stimulus in eliciting the desired response. And I will show with example how it really works. The designer of a message must bear in mind of various intuitiveness or instinct on which he or she design messages, but there are certain very basic elements of a message that must be built into the message. And they are things like, what is the appeal? What is the appeal that the message or that stimulus is making? What is the approach that the message is put forward or is being used to put forward to that message? What is the content of the message? What exactly is the content of the message? What are the details of the message? What is the text and image of the message? And the next is the context in which that message is being conveyed. The context in which the message is being conveyed, and very importantly, who is saying this? Who is sending this message? Who is the source? There must be some indication of who is saying this, whether it is the name of the corporation, whether it is the name of a celebrity, whether whoever it is, who is saying this particular message. Let's look at each one of these in somewhat greater detail, what we mean by this, and then I will try and clarify this with some examples. First, the appeal. What is the appeal? The appeal is that aspect which draws attention. Appeal is that aspect that draws attention, that commands attention. It could be emotional, it could be rational, or it could be sensory. It could be any one of these. So let's take a look at 3 examples, one on appeal, one on rational, and one on sensory example.
Some fathers handicap their daughters for life. You can open your daughter's eyes to the world through education. Allow her to express what she feels. Help her to find her feet in a tough world. You can be your daughter's best friend. It's your choice. After all, it's your head.
Second aspect is the approach. What is meant by approach? Approach deals with the tone and manner in which the message is put across. And this is important because Unlike cinema, in terms of audiovisual messages that we are creating, unlike cinema, television is like a guest in your living room and speak to on a one-to-one basis practically, is like another person sitting in a. So the tone and manner is very, very important in which you design the message, and it could be that tone, the manner in which the message is put across could be humorous, serious, or entertaining, but it must have an approach which is very clearly outlined. Again, we will take a look at 3 commercials dealing with some of these approaches that we are talking about. 3 commercials. Let's take a look at those.
Meet our customer series.
Madam, when did you last paint your house?
5 years ago. What was the name of car?
The name was... Looks like a very good one.
Of course. What else would you expect from me? The name is...
Robula?
Yes, of course. Robula. Why couldn't you tell me that earlier, dear?
Robulac plastic emulsion. Durable. Very durable. The Meet Our Customer series.
Sir, when was the last time you painted your house? Probably 5 years ago.
Probably. Definitely.
Definitely, probably, maybe. Do you remember the name? Of course I do. Ruby Black.
Rubiolac, dear. Rubiolac.
Rubiolac. Sorry. Look at the walls. They are better than me.
Oh.
They are as good as me.
Robulac plastic emulsion. Durable. Very durable. The Meet Our Customer series.
So when did you paint your house? 19...
Bittu. Go play at that.
Sir, the name?
Bittu.
My grandson. Do you want to paint, sir?
Papa, paint.
Rubiolac, look at the wall.
Hi, Bittu. Come here. Don't talk to me.
Very naughty boy. What do you think?
Wow. Camera.
Yes, about Rubiolac.
Robulac plastic emulsion. Durable. Very durable. कान साफ कीजिए मगर सावधानी से जॉनसन्स बट से नहीं सुरक्षित जॉनसन्स बट
यही है राइट चॉइस बेबी
Hi, I'm your new neighbor. Can I have a little Pepsi?
Yeah, sure. Yes! Oops. और कुछ चलेगा?
नहीं, Pepsi नहीं है तो.
No problem.
In there?
ये ले Pepsi.
That must be Sanju.
Sanju?
Hi, I'm Sanjana. Got another Pepsi?
Sure.
Okay, as we took a look at the approach, I just thought I would just tell you that the Rubiolac ad, because the product category, there is a low interest product category, the humorous approach was adopted here, just to make that much greater impact, memorability wise, and that particular approach was taken. Johnson's Bird calls for seriousness around it, around the brand, around the kind of product that it was dealing with, and took a serious kind of an approach. Pepsi is an impulse purchase kind of brand, and therefore a cinema variety kind of an approach with cinema stars, entertainment approach was taken. It was a good laugh kind of entertainment, relaxed kind of entertainment, kind of environment that was taken. The next point that deals with in designing message is the content, what goes into the message. And I think it is as important as any other factor that goes into designing a message in terms of what are you going to say, what is the content of the message. And we will just take a look at one commercial and you will see how vividly it says what he wants to say.
इस दुनिया में जहाँ कुछ नहीं चलता वहाँ शुक्र है लेसॉन्सी तो है। लेसॉन्सी शानदार क्वालिटी जो खूब चले चलती जाए।
राहुल, मैंने कहा था ना, पानी चला जाएगा।
The content of this particular commercial, particular film, if you see, there is a child, there is a lot of water, and there is a soap which is hard, which is absolutely practically like new in its own. So the picture, the whole visual, says it all. There is hardly any statement made about there is a long-lasting, except at the end. But the whole scenario, whole environment in which the whole message is being created, the content, is in the visual of various things, and it says the whole thing. The next aspect of designing a message is looking at text and image. Text and image deals with the picture or the imagery and the words. I think all of you watching this ad will understand what exactly is the imagery and the words.
Children in India are forced to win. This exploitation robs them of their childhood. Labor. It's a shame.
The whole color of that film, juxtaposition of the colorful ball versus the background color, the voice, the tone, the words used, right, are selected or have been arrived at, the design of the message, have really taken a lot of things into consideration in arriving at that. And all this put together is also enhancing the quality of message that one is trying to send out to in this context of child labor. The next aspect that we'll deal with is the context. The context which deals with the frame or circumstance of the message. You write a good word, you write a good headline, but put that into a different kind of, a very different kind of context. There is no mix of the two, and therefore there is no adjustment or fixing of the two, and that creates problem. So message, the circumstance in which the message is being, or the frame in which the message is being given, is a very, very important element in designing of the message.
Ceasefire. I'm glad you have one at home.
Having designed, or if I may use the word constructed the message, the designer of the message also sits back and evaluate whether that message in totality is right, is appropriate, is capable of eliciting the desired response through certain structured thinking. The last aspect of designing the message is the source. The source who is saying what the message is saying. And we'll take a look at one example of that.
Overworked by farmers, the topsoil which billions of children depend on for tomorrow's crops is bleeding into the sea. 25 million tons of nutrients seep away every year. But the hemorrhage can be stemmed. All it takes is a little know-how and the simplest technology. Enough blood has been shed. SOS. Save our soil.
Source is very loud and clear there, the concern is very loud and clear there, and there is a credibility of the source. The last aspect of designing, as I said, is whether the design message is capable of doing certain things that it has been designed for. And they are whether it is able to command attention, clarify the message, there is a value in the consistency to which that message is based on, whether it caters to the heart and the head, is there a call for action in the message, does it create trust, and lastly, most importantly, does it communicate a benefit. We will take a look at few examples which automatically will tell you all these elements are there or not in some of these or all of these.
After taking a brand new range of jams, we asked the experts for their opinion. You see, which silk flavor would you recommend, huh?
I love strawberry jam.
Really? And how would you precisely describe silk jam?
Yuppie!
You're never too early to say.
We have seen the campaign development process. We have also taken a look at the basis on which messages are being designed. We have also looked at the kind of important influence that understanding of media goes into campaign designing as well as message designing. But I think there is a hell of a lot to say about the focus that we need to bring about in all that we do. In today's environment, I think the most important aspect that we have learned as a practitioner is that focus that we must have. There are many things that we want to say, but there must be a focus, one hammer, one nail. And that goes through campaign, message, and everything.